Is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Hello and welcome to Daily Blast Live. It's Thursday, November 7th. I'm here with Al, Brandon, Lindsay. I am Tori. Let's get right to it. An adopted Ukrainian girl with dwarfism is at the center of a major controversy. Her former adoptive parents accused her of being an adult posing as a child and then trying to kill them. Those parents have been arrested and charged with abandoning her. Well, now Dr. Phil is getting to the bottom of it. I want you to check out this clip from his interview with her airing today.
Did you ever stand at the foot of their bed, around their bed, in their room, watch them sleep with a knife in your hand?
No, never.
Did you ever want to stab them?
No,
Did you ever make plans to stab them?
no. If I ever went in the room, it was to wake them up because I was either scared of a nightmare or something like that. But I never went in their room. I didn't.
Dr. Phil was also on GMA to talk about the case. Sorry, it's just a fascinating story.
It is.
It is. I'm sorry. That's my reaction. And if the adopted girl believes if she's an adult or a child, if Dr. Phil believes. So take a look at this.
For her to say, I'm 16, I don't think she really knows how old she is. But I do think she knows that she says now, according to the court, she would be 30. And I certainly don't think this individual is 30 years old.
So, do you think this woman or child or girl is an adult or a child?
I think that's a grown woman. I'm sorry.
You think it's a grown woman?
Thank you for saying that.
Because Marion, I'm sorry, I'll be the one. Because Marion
people
County
writing in already.
Superior Court said she was born in 1989, and I know Dr. Phil has contested that, saying they might be wrong. He didn't see a 30-year-old lady, but to me, she's been with 30 families in the past. There's been recorded violence.
What?
30
different families in the U.S. in the past. There's been recorded violence. She put allegedly thumbtacks down the steps, clear ones, for her parents to step on. I mean, this is not a grown woman. This is a little gremlin. Either way, I'm sorry.
Wow. Yes. I'm glad I don't have to be. I don't have to be that guy.
Are you that guy? Do you believe Lindsay?
I'm with my client, Lindsay Granger here. I am with
Now, I don't want to get in any legal trouble, so he is my lawyer now.
I'm your lawyer? I don't know if you
Do you
want
believe
that
she's a child adult?
Yeah, I think she's an adult.
You do?
I mean, obviously, when he asked that question, did you stand at the foot of their bed and try and kill them? An adult's going to be like, no, I'm not trying to kill them. You know, what do people think she was going to say? But just doing the research with Lindsay and looking into this.
You guys are really into it.
Yeah, because, like you said, it's a fascinating story. And I mean, Al, you're the one that went to Brown. Is she an adult?
I think
you're
the
craziest
doctor.
thing was the lighting in that fake room they were in. What Ramada was that recorded in? Yeah, look, I appreciate that Dr. Phil is trying to get to the bottom of this, and he doesn't want to jump to any conclusions. But I just always think, I have a 5-year-old.
No.
And I just picture asking baby Ford these questions.
Can you
and
imagine?
And he would just reach for his iPad and turn away. So, like, there's no way that a 5 or 6-year-old will be able to focus on questions and be able to recall things that happened months and months and months ago. So I'm going with she's an adult. She might not be 30, but she's not 6.
Dr. Phil said she was very articulate. Like,
Right.
she, like what?
I know. Okay, so people writing in XOOX says, I see a 30-year-old woman, little gremlin exactly. And George Diaz says, she is the Ukrainian whistleblower. So now we have that answer.
Look, Vegas odds, because it's going to come out her official age. Let's put it right now. What's her official age? Go.
30.
21.
I say 19.
I say 18.
Remember that.
Okay.
Remember that.
Sounds good.
There we go.
All right, moving on. A Houston man who admits he shot and killed his wife claims he was sleepwalking at the time. This is Raymond Lazarine. His wife was shot 6 times. I want you to remember that, including in the head and back. He later told police he thought he was dreaming when he pulled the trigger. Now his lawyer says his client's actions were involuntary because he was sleepwalking. Now, before we go crazy and laughing at this guy, I did some
Someone's
research.
there. We're not going to laugh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Because there are cases of somnambulatory or sleepwalking cases in which you truly think you're not awake, or on Ambien in which your brain is doing something else. So does this guy have a case? It seems like you guys think
My
maybe.
ex-wife had a family member that had this, and it was like a real thing. Like they would drive. They would do things. They would wake up in weird places in the house. So this is a thing. I don't know about the actual following through.
Right.
But, I mean, strange things do happen at night, and I don't know if this person was on anything else like Xanax, but I've read articles written by flight attendants that say that people that are on Xanax, they're in this weird kind of half-sleep.
Yeah, you're almost awake, almost not.
Yes, people grope other passengers and things like that. But yes, because they're kind of thinking they're at home with their spouse.
Wow.
It's a weird thing. So, I don't know. But with medication now, you just don't know.
I think I'm on the fence on this one because reading up on it.
Way to take a stand, Brett.
Because
50-50.
Wait to stay. I don't want to talk
50-50 London over here.
Here's why, because the lady's daughter, the deceased daughter, said that he had threatened to kill her plenty of times, threatened to kill the mother plenty of times. But there is a sleep specialist that testified in his defense that when he was tested REM, when you're asleep, you're supposed to be pretty much paralyzed. You don't move. She said that he was active during his REM.
That's interesting.
Or whatever. So
you're on the fence. That's fair.
Yeah, 50-50 London on this.
50-50 London's back in the game.
All right, back to the game, Coach. Well, we are learning new details about the late Whitney Houston. For the very first time, her good best friend and lover gives fans a closer look into the superstar's past and their intimate relationship in her new book, A Song to You. She's opening up on the Today Show. Take a look.
We were intimate on many levels, and all I can say was that it was very deep and we were very connected. She said, I don't believe we should be physical anymore. The music business was a world that we were learning, and we didn't want anything to interfere with where she was going.
So this has sort of been a rumor we've all kind of heard now and again, but to now confirm it, what a difference Whitney Houston would have been had she been allowed to be herself.
Right, it kind of opens us up to her world, and we saw so much, and everybody talks about her and Bobby, but this seems like a serious relationship in her life. So I would love it if we could have just got to see her be her authentic self.
I think my question to you guys is, how do you feel about things coming out posthumously? And that I have these kind of same feelings, like when somebody overdoses and then a year later they release a toxicology report. I'm like, the only people that's affecting the people that they've left behind. And I don't know if I need to know that. Now, I do appreciate the fact that this is a woman that's talking about a lesbian relationship, which we in the black community have difficulty having those conversations, and it may have led to her years and years of drug addiction. So if that's the purpose of the book, cool. But if it's just kind of to spread,
I don't think I think she looks like she loves
It didn't seem sensationalized.
Yeah, not at all.
I mean, I love hearing from this woman right now. I want to hear more, though. You know, I'm fascinated. This is my first time hearing.
Well, good news, Brandon, she has a book.
There's a book.
No, but
Brandon's like, where can I find out more?
More information.
No, I'm talking about more people that they hung out with, people who knew, like if within that inner circle.
I wonder if Bobby knew.
Yeah, he knew.
Yeah,
he knew.
That was his prerogative.
Oh, okay. Good job there, buddy. All right.
That was the worst joke of the week.
It wasn't great. Talk about the greatest love of all, says Ray's Vibe. That's a really profound kind of thing. And also Ellis Walker says, I too see a 30-year-old girl in the Dr. Phil segment. And then Kevin Ang says, I think she's anywhere from 25 to 35. So no one's saying 6, which is interesting. DBL is live and coming up, a murderer's motive. He said he had an urge to kill, but is there more to this bone-chilling story? Find out in today's True Crime Chronicles. And you, the viewer, you're our 5th host. There is a huge fight brewing between the older generation and millennials after a young politician called a colleague a boomer. Is that okay or disrespectful? Your comments coming up next.
This November, escape the winter with a luxury-included Caribbean vacation to Sandals Resorts. Watch Daily Blast Live every day for a word of the day. Then enter at dailyblastlive.com/sandals for your chance to win a 4-day, 3-night escape for 2. The winner will be announced on DBL November 26th. Stop dreaming and start entering for your chance to win the trip of a lifetime. This November, DBL is better than ever. We're talking with the father of school shooting victim, Kendrick Castillo.
You know, he was my best friend, and he was the love of his mother's life.
A woman finds out her mother's fertility doctor may be the father.
I'm thinking my dad is not my biological father.
Meeting a transgender mountain climber determined to conquer the world.
Took the risk of becoming my authentic self.
And unraveling mysteries in our True Crime Chronicles. And that's just the beginning of what's happening on Daily Blast Live this November. We never stop talking about what you're talking about.
DBL Nation, happy Thursday. Thanks for joining us today. We are almost to Friday. We've done it. We're almost there. Let's go to the desk and see what's going on with our hosts. Hi, guys.
No, that was funny.
Hi. Are you guys still talking about the Ukrainian girl/woman?
So Ray's Vibe, who I absolutely love, says, I coach 6 to 9-year-olds, and none of them can enunciate better than that Ukrainian girl. Stephen Hill, Tori, B colors today. Yeah, guys, very springy. And I'm going to spring into a little announcement I have coming up, but it's an announcement to an announcement. Tomorrow on the air and during the digital break, I'm going to announce my new exciting surprise, and I'm really excited for it. I teased it about a year ago, and it's finally going to be done, right? Are we doing it on the show? We are doing it on the show. Maybe.
But we're definitely doing it on a digital break at least.
We are. Jody said it. We have a clip.
Jody is one of our producers.
So B colors today. Hi, guys. So if you do think, a lot of people think she's 35, but I do want to say, 35. Dr. Phil thinks she's around 16.
She claims to be 16.
Yeah, she claims to be 16, so we're actually going to put a megaphone up soon.
Be aware of that. She claims to be 16.
She doesn't claim to be 35.
At some point, her bones were tested that sort of corroborated that.
Yes. Right. Now, the problem is with...
So she says. So she says.
She said she can't recall the second test at all. She doesn't remember going through any of that. All she remembers
is the one in Michigan.
Yeah.
And she has selective memory, it seems like.
Anyways, guys, we're going to put a DBL a megaphone up, our viewer poll up soon. And that way you can judge how old you think she is. We're going to go from 6 all the way up to 36. So you'll be able to vote on what you think.
How about when she just started crying like that?
Hi.
Cool shot of our room back there. Cool. Welcome to DBL. Here's what got us talking for 5th host. Young adults and baby boomers are up in arms over the trending phrase, okay, boomer. It's even on t-shirts. And if you're unfamiliar with the term, you're likely part of a generation being blamed for climate change. And on Twitter, William Shatner is standing up for baby boomers by calling it a childish insult. Check out this 25-year-old New Zealand lawmaker using the phrase to shut down a parliament member heckling her during a speech about the climate change. Take a look.
In the year 2050, I will be 56 years old. Yet, right now, the average age of this 52nd Parliament is 49 years old. Okay, boomer. Current political institutions have proven themselves incompetent.
Ooh, she just said it like that, like it was nothing. So DBL Nation, is the phrase, okay, boomer, disrespectful?
Okay, Al from Facebook says, I'm a proud boomer. And I have to say, we boomers are the last generation who were taught any manners and to be respectful.
Al, did you write this?
I did.
Al, that was Al writing in. I think that for the last few years, at least, people have been saying, oh, you're a millennial, so you're dumb, so you want things super quickly, so you don't work hard. And I think finally somebody's like, be quiet, Grandpa.
Ooh.
So I'm sorry, Al.
Lindsay.
If you're a boomer, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying you can't keep calling millennials dumb and all this other stuff. They're smart millennials, like this young woman who's speaking from her heart.
Al,
Wow.
you gonna let her shut down your comment like that?
That's she's under another pseudonym.
Let's go to Janet. Janet says, you know why they're called baby boomers, right? Why, Janet? Because the tiniest little pinprick to their egos, and boom, they become babies.
That's not why they're called baby boomers. It's after the war, a huge generation was born because men came back from the war and they all reunited and they had a baby boom. Go ahead.
Just for me, it's just like, just say bye, Felicia, and just go on about your business.
What's the difference? Bye, Felicia.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Just say bye, Felicia. Why? Okay, boomer.
Because we're not in 2010, and that's why we say bye.
Friday is like 20 years ago.
No, it's not.
That's where Bye Felicia comes from.
Watch
Friday.
R.I.P. John Weatherspoon. Now you can't say nothing. Go ahead, Al.
All right. Matt from Facebook says, okay, boomer is exactly what I expect from the offspring of spoiled, entitled brats. Just like the apple, looks like the apple just fell from the bottom of the tree. Matt, no name calling. Come on, man. This is the problem. We're all sharing this earth, and it's weird that the younger generation, the older generation don't get along. We should try and figure out how to move the species along, but instead, we want to have beef with each other. I'm kind of taking the side of that woman in Parliament. As a comic, when somebody heckles you, when you yell out, you subject to getting dissed.
That's exactly right. Let us know what you guys think. We are reading your comments. Coming up on DBL, a woman's shocking murder turns into a multi-state crime spree. The motive? Get this, an urge to kill. True Crime Chronicles is next.
Rogers in the 25th century.
Buck Rogers is back on the air. Buck and Wilma and all their fascinating friends and mysterious enemies in the super scientific 25th century. This program is brought to you by the
So guys, you know I always read the paper and I like to give you some information. There's two things on the New York Times front page I want to read about. Number one, Flint, Michigan, we know the water crisis has been awful for a long, long time. Well now, because of the poison water and the bathing that they're doing in that, they are having hundreds of students flood in with ADHD, which I think is so interesting. Whatever neurotoxin is in the water, it's definitely creating a change. One girl was perfect one year, then she bathed and was drinking that water, and the next year she had 30 suspensions and was completely hysterical.
Oh my God.
So they said it's just like damaged kids fill Flint schools. So I think that's really interesting. And as a teacher, you can understand that that would be an incredibly hard thing to do. You can't quench their thirst or calm them down.
Well, yeah, it's that. What do you expect when you're literally drinking poison?
Chemicals, yeah.
You're literally drinking it. I mean, it's going to have an effect on your brain, an effect on your body. And
autism, a huge amount of that both.
Yeah, I mean, this is the fallout for this is going to be felt for years. So.
Yeah. Also,
sad, not surprising, but super sad.
There's also groundwork for flying taxis.
By the way,
so,
did the young generation and old generation ever get along? No.
Welcome back to DBL. Kaylee Sawyer was brutally killed in Oregon 3 years ago. Her murderer went on to terrorize more victims in a multi-state crime spree. For the very first time, those victims are speaking out in a new podcast called Urge to Kill by our sister station KGW in Portland. We at DBL have an exclusive look in DBL's True Crime Chronicles.
Kaylee Sawyer grew up in Bend, Oregon, surrounded by a big, loving family.
She was the first grandchild.
The 23-year-old was working as a dental assistant, studying at Central Oregon Community College to become a dentist.
She had such a big, happy personality, always smiling.
It was a Saturday night, July 2016. Kaylee was out drinking with friends at a bachelorette party. She texts her boyfriend Cameron to pick her up. They arrive at their apartment near campus and get into an argument. Kaylee takes a walk to cool off and is never seen again.
And I've covered countless cases about missing people, kidnappings, and murders. But Kaylee's story is one that still haunts me.
Investigative reporter Ashley Korslin is uncovering new details and never-before-heard interviews in the podcast Urge to Kill. The podcast documents the frantic search for Kaylee.
Dispatch, how can I help you? Last night I got home from the bars with my girlfriend. She got upset at me and ran off.
I really thought that it was just a bad date, bad night, because she'd been out with some friends.
But then her phone would just go straight to voicemail, over and over and over.
They would later learn Kaylee was approached by someone on campus.
It's one of the college's public safety cars, and inside is a public safety officer who's on shift patrolling campus.
Instead of helping Kaylee, he attacks and rapes her.
The safety officer pulls over and gets out, opens the back door, and chokes Kaylee again.
Edwin Lara kills Kaylee using a rock and disposes her body in a canyon off a highway. The day after, he goes on a multi-state crime spree, kidnapping a woman, shooting a man, and carjacking a family until he was caught.
In the end, her killer's only explanation was that he had an urge to kill.
So many victims, but why?
They may never get answers or closure, but for the first time, every one of them is ready to publicly share their story. And it begins here.
Dispatch, how can I help you? Yes, I need to have an officer call me. My daughter is missing.
Earlier, co-host Sam Shocker, Al, and I spoke with a host of the podcast to get a sneak peek of the very first episode. Take a look. We're joined by reporter and host of the Urge to Kill podcast, Ashley Korslin from our sister station KGW in Portland. Now, Ashley, you mentioned Kaylee's story still haunts you. I mean, you think about all the bachelorette parties that we've all been to. It seems like it could happen to any one of us. What made you want to produce an entire podcast on this?
I think there was just something about her story. There was so much that I wanted to learn and so much that really wasn't covered in the news. Part of our purpose here is really to tell people about Kaylee and who she was, this beautiful young woman taken too soon. Another thing is that people to this day still think her death was an accident, and that's because some of the early information that was put out based on what her killer had told his wife and police at the time, which was not true, but that information got out through the media, and so to this day people don't know that she was killed intentionally. Another reason we focused on this case was because her killer had other victims across several states, and we really haven't heard from some of them before. So this is the first time that several of them are sharing their story, and it's really powerful.
Ashley, Edwin Lara pled guilty. He is serving a life sentence. Now, his only explanation was that he had, quote, an urge to kill. I watch a lot of true crime and I listen to a lot of podcasts. I got to ask, did police ever find another motive? And have you ever seen this motive as just the urge to kill in any other case?
I've never heard that. That was one of the most startling things about this case that really compelled us to look into it. You know, he had told police in this 6-hour interrogation after his arrest, he gave them several stories, right? So he said it was an accident, I hit her with the car. Then he moved on to saying that he assumed she was a prostitute and that all he tried to do was rob her. So he went through several stories before police got it out of him, and he said, I've had an urge to kill for as long as I can remember. And something, yeah, it's crazy, and something that we looked into is he actually told police he had planned a murder in the past. So they took that statement very seriously, and you know, they found a presentation on serial killers in his shed that he kept from college because they firmly believe that he could have been or would have become a serial killer.
How has Kaylee's story changed how security and safety on college campuses is handled?
Yeah, so Al, that's kind of the bright light that came of this tragic story is her family went on to push for what's now known as Kaylee's Law in Oregon. And so Kaylee's Law essentially mandates steps that campus police officers or college safety guards can't look like police officers. So uniforms, equipment, cars, that sort of thing. And then it also mandates very strict national background checks and psychological tests for any of these future college safety guards. So that's really the what's come out of this. That has been a big deal for the state of Oregon.
Yeah, that's a very important protocol. Thank you so much, Ashley. The first episode is out now.
Guys.
If you want to listen, head to kgw.com. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
Headlines like these are frustratingly common. New study claims, report says. They attribute the information to a scientific study, but if you're a parent, you're not focusing on the word study or report. You're focused on 95% of baby foods are filled with toxic chemicals. That's freaky. It's a terrifying claim, and it doesn't tell you what to do about it. But the reality is that most of these headlines sit above pretty complicated articles. And that's partly because scientific research is complicated. Read the actual articles, or better yet, the actual research, and you'll find that the reality is less study finds 95% of baby foods contain toxic metals, and more study into about 150 popular baby foods found trace amounts of elements like lead. Some of those amounts were higher than the recommended safety levels by the FDA, and the scientists are calling for more research. Yeah, side by side, it's pretty obvious why people pick this headline over this word monstrosity. But flashy headline doesn't mean good headline. A wordier one may not get more clicks, but it could convey more accurate info, and people reading it might respond more accurately. See, if you ask a research scientist, they'll tell you that scientific studies don't actually determine facts. What do I mean? Let's say I flipped a coin 3 times, and all 3 times it landed on heads. If we stopped there, I could conclude that anytime you flip a coin, it lands on heads. My conclusion is a theory, not a fact. For most theories, like gravity, tests are run and run and run and repeated thousands of times, and as evidence builds, those theories can change. A good theory is tested multiple times and has a lot of evidence to support it. So back to my coin theory. If we tested this even one more time, we'd see that my theory was wrong. More tests show that flipped coins have a 50-50 chance of landing on heads. Okay, Jason, if theories are always changing, how do we get completely opposite claims? You know what I'm talking about. 1984, studies say eat less salt. 2013, new studies say eat more salt again. This is confusing, but it's actually part of that same process. Our understanding of the human body and its dietary needs changed between those tests in 1984 and 2013. So did the research. That doesn't mean that either of those tests were definitively wrong. We just have new understandings that change how we interpret that data. And that's the key takeaway. When you read a headline like this, remember that one study's results aren't fact. They could be true, they could be false, or they could be some combo of both. If it's an important subject, look for more research into the claims. That can take time, but more tests and more evidence can help prove if a theory is accurate or if we need to change our understanding of it. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
Move over Black Friday. There is a new shopping holiday that wants to put money back into your wallet. Let's connect the dots. Retail Me Not is launching a new holiday they're calling Cash Back Day. It kicks off today, and it gives customers up to 20% cash back on items purchased during a 24-hour period. Some of the big retailers taking part: Home Depot, Macy's, Amazon, Expedia, and Overstock. The only catch, you have to shop online and you have to register with retailmenot.com. Shoppers will get their money 45 days later through Venmo or PayPal. Going forward, Cashback Day will be celebrated the first Thursday of November, joining the retail holiday ranks of Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday. And that is Connecting the Dots.
Today's Sandals word of the day is sunscreen.
I could use some sunscreen. Welcome back to DBL. Let's get to this topic. Model Ashley Graham has an interesting way of getting in the mood, praying alongside her husband. Watch.
And in that power, when we're praying, it's like, oh, oh, do you feel that? And it's like the lights go down, the worship music goes up, and we're like, hello. And next thing you know, after we pray, because we have priorities, we rip it up.
Is this okay?
Yeah,
I want to know what Al has to say.
Yeah, it's their house. They can do whatever they want. I mean, it's a weird flex, but okay. You know, I think that's very strange. I don't know. That wouldn't put me in the mood.
Spirituality.
I don't even want family pictures in the bedroom. Like,
Really?
I don't want anybody staring at me. No.
That's so hilarious.
All right.
Do you think it's cool? Brandon, what do you think about it?
I mean, you know, the Holy Ghost puts you in the mood sometimes. Everyone has a different feeling from the Holy Ghost.
Yes.
Let her do what she does.
Deep connection.
You guys are trying to
Great
not
job,
mess up
everybody.
going to heaven.
No.
Yeah.
See you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye, guys.